lovies, happy Monday. Happy Motivational Mission Monday. I hope you guys have started your week off great. Today we're going to talk about comparison. Now I think when we talk about comparison, we always focus on like the negative things like, oh, like I'm down on myself, I'm comparing myself to this person and I feel bad about myself, which is totally true. I literally did this last week or a couple weeks ago. I was comparing myself with a lot of people and a lot of things, and I was really down on myself. And so I encourage you, obviously not to do that. A huge opponent or component to that is social media. And I think my friend Sydney, she's the person I think who I read this from, but I think she got it from someone else. I don't know who started this. But basically, if you feel like you're scrolling through social media and you see someone, or you always see the same person and you're like always comparing yourself to them in a negative way, you should unfollow them. Even if they're a really close friend of yours, I think that person would understand. But if it's causing you to lose your peace of mind and make you feel less than, there's no point in constantly following it and constantly torturing yourself. That's just a tip. Again, I give credit to Sydney on that. So yeah, we all feel comparison, we all go through it, and so I'm going to talk about what it's rooted in and then the cures for comparison. So I believe that comparison is rooted in discontentment, it's rooted in unhappiness, it's rooted in seeing who you are and where you are and wanting more and wanting change. Of course, you can want more for yourself and want change for yourself, when you're in a negative space or when you're not exactly where you want to be, but you want to go further. But you don't want it to be your motive for changing shouldn't be so you can be better than someone else. It should be so you can better yourself. But when you have that mindset of I want to change and I don't want to be myself because I want to be better than this person, I want to be prettier than this person, I want to be stronger, faster, whatever, then that's when it becomes rooted in you're comparing yourself, and it's not a good thing. So yeah, I want to focus though on how do we cure comparison, because we all know what comparison is. We all go through it, like I said. So I think there are 5 ways to cure it. And I think the first one is joy. Like I said, comparison roots in unhappiness and discontentment. And happiness is very wavering, whereas joy is very solid. Happiness changes from one minute to the next. I can be happy right now, but then in a minute I could get some news and be really unhappy and it makes me sad. Whereas if I have joy, despite some news that makes me sad, or some unhappy news that makes me upset, I can still say, okay, I am upset, yes, but it doesn't cause me to go into despair. Does that make sense? So you want to have joy, and you want to root yourself in joy and not in happiness. And with joy also, I feel like comes, gratefulness as well. I'm going to read, let's see, where is this? Well, I'll read this later. So with joy comes gratefulness. Again, discontentment is rooted in not being grateful for where you are or who you are. And so when you start to feel like you're comparing yourself negatively to someone else or to a different situation, I encourage you guys to, think of a few things that you're grateful for right now in this moment. Maybe it's your job, maybe it's your roommate, maybe it's a pet that you have, whatever it is. Maybe it's the fact that you ate today. I just encourage you to be grateful. And I take the gratefulness thing from Kaylani, shout out, because she totally reminded me of, it's good to be grateful daily for the things that you have. Waking up in the morning, you know what I mean? So being grateful causes you to realize, you know what, I don't really have a lot to compare myself to, because where I am and who I am is perfectly fine, So gratefulness. Next, self-confidence and love. I can't stress this enough. I mean, again, we compare ourselves because sometimes we don't love ourselves enough. We're not confident in who we are. And so it's good to, like the gratefulness, challenge ourselves in what are the things that you love about yourself? Think of 3 things when you're ready to compare yourself. Think, okay, I love maybe their physical features, maybe their personality traits, whatever it is. You want to say that they're and acknowledge that there are lovable things about you that you can be confident in, instead of saying, oh, like, this other person has this and I don't. Like, what are the things that you have that maybe that other person doesn't? Again, not to say that you are better than the other person, but just to know that you can be confident in the fact that you yourself are perfectly fine. You're cool. You're great. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's that. And then a huge thing too is humility and community. And I think these go hand in hand also with joy. There are often times where, I mean, a lot of the time when we hear comparison, we think, oh, we're negatively placing things on ourselves because we think someone else is better. But sometimes we compare ourselves and we think we're better than another person. And in that case, you know, and even in the other case of like negatively comparing ourselves, like we should be humble when we think of ourselves and we think of other people. I'm going to read these verses from Philippians 2, and it's verses 1 through 4. So if there is any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. So humility is huge. Being humbled, not just like with who you are, but also with other people. Like, I always look at other people and I'm like, wow, like, they're great. They're amazing at what they do. They look great. And that's fine. It's good for me to encourage a person in that and to, you know, to see that and acknowledge that. It's not good for me to say, wow, that person is prettier than me and compare myself, or I'm prettier than that person, or whatever it is. It's not good to do that. And so I love those verses because it not just talks about humility, but it also talks about uplifting one another and not seeing ourselves as more significant than other people. Because especially in the creative community, whether, you know, you're doing art or singing or poetry or whatever, it's so easy to compare yourself, and it's so easy to be in competition with another person because, oh, well, my art, is it better than this person, or is it going to go farther than this person, whatever. Like, it's so easy to do that. But I personally believe that there needs to be more community within creatives and within other people in occupations. Like, it's not a competition. We can help each other and go hand in hand with this without, you know, someone else stomping on another person's head for it. I'm going to read something really quick by Cleo Wade. She's awesome. Get her book, Heart Talk. I love it. And it's crazy because I flipped to this. I didn't realize I'd stopped in this place of comparison until I started reading this. So it's awesome. She talks about, there's a poem called Rooting for Each Other, and then she talks about connecting and not comparing. I'll read you the poem. Rooting for Each Other. Do you think Mother Nature cares that any of her beautiful flowers grow in an array of shades and sizes? Or that one grows in this direction and one grows in that direction? No. She puts all of them in her magnificent garden so they may be together and root for each other. And that's the key thing she talks about. She talks about how comparison and extreme competition run on insecurities and the belief in scarcity, which inevitably isolates us from one another. And that's not what we're called to do. We're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to say, you know, I'm better, therefore, like, I can't help this other person. Like, we should all be able to come together with our different levels and abilities and say, hey, like, you're great at this, I'm not so great at this, help me out. You know, and that's what it's supposed to be like. We're not supposed to compare. There's another thing in here. Everything we accomplish in life is much more fulfilling when we help others along the way. And so instead of comparing yourself when you see another person who's better than you, or if you feel like you're better than someone else, try to connect with that person instead. How can I connect with this person? Even if, you know, through social media, like, maybe they have a similar story to mine, or, you know, you connect in some other form or fashion. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the cures for comparison instead of focusing on, like, you know, oh, I'm so down, whatever. Like, think about the things that you can accomplish. Think about the person that you are and be happy in that and be confident in that. So yeah, I'm almost out of time, but I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week. See you later.